If you're exhausted in midlife, you're not broken. You're responding to the real demands with a human body. Let's talk about it.
You found the Midlife Revolution Unleashed, the space to embrace your wisdom, reignite your passions, and move boldly into what's next. I am Coach Wayne, the VIP coach.
And I'm Coach Stacy M. Lewis. We're here with insights, stories, and strategies to fuel your midlife journey. So take a breath, lean in. Your revolution starts now.
Stacy, guess what?
Man. What?
I'm tired. I'm exhausted.
Well, we are here to frame exhaustion as information, not inadequacy, Wayne. So you have come to the right spot. Exhausted. Welcome to the Midlife Revolution Unleashed. I am your co-host, Stacey M. Lewis, nonprofit executive, a midlife women's coach, and a lover of God and his people. And while my co-host is tired, I know that he is going to bring the energy tonight.
Yep. I am Coach Wayne, the VIP coach, and I work with midlife men to help them get over that threshold so that their second half can be their best half. Stace, I'm kidding. I'm wired tonight. I'm wired. Yeah. Not tired, wired.
You were bringing in the episode with real experience.
That's right.
Well, tonight we're going to talk about understanding the hidden forces that are draining your energy. And, Wayne, that's real every day. We'll also talk about why self-compassion is the first strategy.
Says, why do people feel like, and I know not just midlifers, but if people feel sometimes that if they run out of gas, if they get tired, that it's there's shame almost. It's like they're a failure because they, don't have the same energy or tired or oomph. And I think tonight we want to let folks know that we can address it and we can manage it, but there's no need to count yourself out. There are things that we can do.
Absolutely. We definitely want to remove the shame from exhaustion, because that exhaustion is telling us something as human beings with human bodies. And exhaustion doesn't equal laziness or weakness or a lack of discipline. It is the reality of the energy and that energy depletion.
I like to see those sort of signals, as it were, as merely feedback, right, to our systems, to us, that something needs to happen. We need to tune up, like your car, right? If it's bucking, then you need a tune up or change the gas or something is happening. And I think when you are dealing with issues of exhaustion, then it may be worth taking a tune up, and we can do that. And we're going to do that with you tonight.
Yeah, it often comes from what we call a cumulative load, right? It is the load of daily living that tends to make us exhausted. And Wayne, I know that you coach a lot of what we call high capacity men. And often they're the ones that are most depleted, right? Those people that we look to and who have identified themselves as high capacity people, and not recognizing that sometimes that running on that high capacity the entire time can be an energy suck.
Yeah, if you drive on 93 octane, right, the highest grade gasoline, you are burning expensive fuel. And so
Woo,
these
that's
guys who are really ballers and callers at that level, they're burning expensive fuel and rapidly sometimes. Because Stacy, one of the things that I've learned over the years is you pace yourself. You can't get it done in one day, and you save yourself for later. You budget your energy and know when to say no and know what to say no to.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And as we think about this episode and really talking about energy and why energy is the currency and that midlife exhaustion isn't a personal failure, the reality is that we want to make sure we are considering what is it that we're telling ourselves about the exhaustion. It is, as we're moving forward and really looking to succeed and trying to take care of all of the things, that we begin to tell ourselves this story about how we're underperforming or we're not doing enough, or that exhaustion is a weakness. And we are here to dismantle that myth.
And don't get pressured with the people pleasing habit.
Did you say that, Wayne? Let's talk about some of what you and I are calling the energy drains.
Mm-hmm. People
I
pleasing is
think.
one of those, Stace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry for interrupting. Go ahead,
No,
Stace.
it's okay. Go.
People pleasing is one of those where
Mm-hmm.
we think that we have to be the we got to get the badge or the pat on the neck or the shoulder because we're making people happy. And most of us get caught up with family, on a personal level, with just showing up and making sure everybody's okay, especially if you're very responsible, you're
Mm.
trying to make sure everybody's good. But sometimes you have to stop and take stock of where you are. And especially at midlife, when you have lots of options because you've done so much, you have to pull back sometimes. And the first person to take care of and to please is who, Stace? Yourself.
Yourself. You got to. You got
Yourself.
to. If the captain goes down, the ship is sunk.
Yeah.
Right. We want to start. Let's talk about from an invisible energy drain standpoint. And I love that you brought in that people pleasing, because that is one that we don't necessarily immediately connect
Mhm.
to an energy drain, yet it is definitely one. Um, there are indeed those structural and those biological realities, that are not necessarily choices. One that comes to mind for me, why? Because I personally experience this one often, and that is sleep disruption.
Ooh.
And I'm sure that it is hormonally driven, or hormones are playing some role in why I'm waking up in the middle of the night and why I'm waking up a little warmer than I should be. But that sleep disruption certainly is an invisible energy drain, right? If my sleep is interrupted, especially consistently, right? A couple of nights, 3 nights in a row,
Mhm.
the energy is just not there.
You're absolutely correct. Stacy, today when I was promoting the show, I posted some stuff on both LinkedIn and Facebook. So, folks, if
Hmm.
you get a chance, and in there, one of the posts was talking about sleep cycles, circadian
Mm.
rhythms. And it
Hmm.
says that we have 90-minute cycles where we go through the various levels of brain waves.
Hmm.
And to get proper sleep, you have to experience the full cycle. And so, even if you fall asleep and get up missing the full cycle, you still feel tired. And so there are ways to figure out what time to go to bed, and when throughout that cycle of even 8 hours, the various times you can get up and still feel okayish. It's interesting science. So I invite people to look at that. But Stacy, to your point, a lot is happening with the body
Mm-hmm.
when we are burning the candle at both ends,
Mm.
or when we're just having difficulty falling asleep. One trick, Stacy, is to use uh, blue light.
Mm.
Now, I don't mean the same blue light from the phone, but there are therapies around blue and red too. I'm
Yeah.
not sure of the difference, but people use these therapeutic modes to kind of
Mm-hmm.
usher sleep in.
Well, I love that that you gave a possible solution. Because we want to talk about not only these invisible energy drains, but also what we can do about them. And from a as coaches, right? Questions you can ask yourself to notice and to really begin to dismantle some of these issues, these challenges that are draining your energy. Another one, which this one definitely isn't something I'm as familiar with as the sleep disruption. But another thing that is an invisible energy drain is that chronic stress and that
Mm,
decision fatigue, right? That, whether it's our job, our household, whatever's going on in our lives, the ongoing stress, not just the kind of daily stressors that peak and valley or that come and go, but those chronic kind of steady stressors that
yeah.
can really be an invisible energy drain.
Yeah. I'm gonna have a little fun with this tonight, Stacy,
Okay,
because you
great.
see the
Let's have a little fun.
plant behind me, right? I have
Mm-hmm.
plants over, and plants actually are helpful when you're talking about these invisible stresses and just the drains. Um, if your environment or your surrounding has nice plants,
Mm-hmm.
they help to calm you and to allow you to reduce some of that stress. Uh, it's weird how that works, but it I guess it's mimicking nature and the outdoors. And we were not born and made to be inside. And so even the color green that we see out there
Mm-hmm.
does something to our senses to ease and soothe us. So, uncluttering your space is one, whether it's the office, your calendar, your phone, learning to just block things and rid others on the phone, which is still clutter, and adding little niceties like plants are
Mm-hmm.
great ways to help yourself soothe through those stressful moments.
Yeah, I love it. Um, I have a house full of plants,
Yeah.
and they also help with the air quality and all of that good stuff. So I agree with you, right? You can go buy a nice $8.99 plant, and you'd be amazed if you take care of it a little bit. How it could bless you. I would say another invisible energy drain is that in midlife, and you and I talk about this often, is the reality that somewhere we are likely caregiving.
Yes.
And, we could be caring for kids, we could be caring for grandchildren, we could be caring for our parents, we could be caring for members of our community, our church family, the emotional weight or emotional labor. So many aspects of caregiving that are really, sometimes they're not as invisible, but they can definitely be energy drains.
Yeah. So we have to check that in an episode we had earlier this year or last year. Oh, this is
Mm-hmm.
the new year. We talked about boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And so one has to be mindful because people typically don't do it for you. They're not going to come and save your energy for you. They
Right.
usually take advantage of your time and energy. So you have to create those boundaries around being a caregiver, even.
I agree. And um I was listening to one of my coaches this morning, and she was talking about the value of rhythms, right?
Mm,
That even in your caregiving, in your daily activities, right? Having a rhythm that of how things are going to happen. It doesn't have to be a strict routine. You know, at 7:15, I'm going to drop Joey off, and then at 8:15, I'm going to pick up my grandmother and take her to the doctor. It really is about the rhythm of caring for yourself and
hmm.
caring for others, identifying what those needs are in ways that allow you to engage in a rhythm so that you are not feeling as much of the energy drain, although you still have to do the same level of work, so to speak, or expend effort.
I like that.
Yeah.
Finding a canter
Mhm.
rhythm.
Mhm.
I like that. Uh,
Yeah.
going instead of going upstream, going with the flow.
Yeah,
Hmm, hmm,
absolutely. I mean, because I definitely agree with boundaries, and at the same time, from a caregiving perspectives, right? The needs are the needs. To your
hmm,
point, some
hmm,
some people might have help, siblings or a spouse, and some people don't. And
hmm.
so the needs are the needs, but how can we best manage those needs really from a place that notices what we need in order to manage those needs.
No
And I
doubt.
think that that's really, really important.
We can also see energy as capital in the
Mm,
way of leadership,
mhm.
right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
we're leading not just in the workplace, but we're
Mhm,
leading at home, and we're certainly leading ourselves every day. And
mhm.
that's prize capital to have.
Yeah, I agree, and I think often in the workplace setting, there are the external expectations of us. And this happens even as business owners, right? There are the external expectations of us to perform, to do, to show up, to be. And then there are the internal expectations of us. And that can be exhausting. It can really drain the energy that um, mental load that we carry as leaders um, is something that we need to really pay attention to, give credit to as a potential energy drainer, and look at opportunities to notice it and then begin to identify ways to combat it.
Yeah. As a leader, Stace, sometimes we think that by putting our hands, our signature on everything, it shows how involved we are, and therefore it shows that we are being effective. But we may be effective somewhat, but we don't have to be efficient when we do that. And so, as leaders, when we talk about energy, we have to recognize when we talk about what we say no to, doesn't mean it's off the table for good, but how do we delegate stuff? How do
Mm,
we make
mm.
sure that we, you know, assign it outside so that we don't have to get caught up with every part of the operations.
Yeah, I agree with you. And at the same time, we want to, as we talk about energy and it not being a flaw, or feeling exhaustion not being a weakness, we want to make sure that in this episode, we're really encouraging you to notice, to name. So often we press through the day and we're not really noticing even what's beginning to drain our energy. And so you can't fix, right? You can't heal what you don't reveal. We can't
That's right.
fix these things until we really name them, until we notice them.
Good evening, Dr. Marcia and my brother Curtis.
Oh, good
We are
evening. Good evening.
acknowledging you both. And yeah,
Welcome to Midlife Revolution Unleashed. It is always great to have you in the listening lounge. So let's talk about, Wayne, energy as leadership capital.
Well, we can reclaim some of our energy so that we become more adept at leading. Imagine showing up and really just being bah when folks are behind you waiting for the charge. Sometimes we have to model that energy by ourselves conserving it. And, if you're going to be called on to run through a bustling, hectic schedule to get things done as a leader,
Mm-hmm.
you certainly better be alert and find way of exercising at a high level of output, which is aka energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the uh energy and the leadership is capital. I love the concept because the reality is that energy is not just personal. It is relational and professional. And we all have probably experienced times when we've shown up as less than the energetic leader, right? As someone who's kind of depleted or wiped out, like you're saying, and that translates into the people that we're working with, talking to, meeting with. And so it's important to really recognize energy as leadership capital and begin again to notice things that might be draining your energy so you don't, for example, become reactive instead of responsive.
Yeah. Stacy, remember the good word here is to whom much is given.
Much is required,
That's
which
right.
means that everything that these important things that you need, like rest and paying attention to what you need, um, is required, right?
That's
It is
right. That's right.
required. Um,
Kurt, yes, right. Curtis
Go ahead.
mentioned Curtis mentioned the invisible, the energy vampires, and
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
you
that's those invisible things, right? The energy vampires, and then you show up uh as less than your best. And we begin to, as leaders, um we can sometimes default into over functioning, right? So we're just s- really trying to pull energy along, and we end up over functioning because we're just depleted.
yeah. So let's talk to folks about how you can do your own energy audit, like just to become aware some of the things that we are suggesting that one could do. And one is to ask yourself the question, with whom do I interact that when they leave or when they are in my presence, I feel drained? Don't
Mm,
say the word loudly, but you know who those are.
right, right, right. It's like when you're in church and they say something about somebody, and then they're like, don't tap your neighbor,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Don't don't do that. I think it is an excellent question. Um, Goes back to the noticing um, of the fact that, wow, that conversation, it's an example, Wayne. I led a meeting today, and the meeting was good, yet there were a couple of, I'll say, annoyances I was dealing with. And those annoyances literally drained me.
Hmm.
I think more so mentally than physically, but they drained me to the point where I said, I need to take 15 minutes to separate myself from work so that I can notice more of that, get it in check, and then show up. as a leader, not a depleted leader, but
Yeah.
a leader stewarding my leadership gifts.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
What's
you
another
ask
question?
yeah, you ask yourself a question around the things you do day to day.
Hmm.
What chores, what activities, what bits of the operations of my business draws most from me? And I usually suggest to folks that you do your high end energy absorbers earlier or when you are at your fittest and your best, right? So you don't have to open up social media in the morning when you need that morning energy to get going with the real deal.
I totally agree. And I want to go back just a half step because Curtis asks a question. How does a leader regain access to this energy leadership capital without taking from their team? And I hope that the example that I just gave, while I only stepped away for 15 minutes, was a good example of like stepping away and giving yourself the space and the grace as a leader to check in with yourself, see what's going on, notice how you're feeling, where your energy is, mentally, emotionally, physically, taking a moment to ask yourself, why is that? And even if the answer is because you didn't get a good night's sleep last night, you at least have a resource to begin to correct or adjust that access, right? That's the access, is noticing that you're missing the energy at that moment and then taking those opportunities to identify the why and taking action or creating a plan, a mini plan, like, okay, tonight I'm going to go to bed at 10, not a 5-page written plan, but taking action to begin to address that energy depletion.
You better pass around the collection plate, man. That's a master class right there. Stace, I would also input and say, make sure that as a leader, how you are operating is in alignment with your values. Why? Because when you are in alignment, there is flow. And so you can, if you're in alignment with your values and things aren't being forced. Now, I said this on another podcast somewhere. There's a difference between having power and having force. And
Mm,
and power is a whole different thing. Force is unnatural and it means there's out of alignment. And so I think if you are working from the position the power that's been invested in you as a leader, finding alignment in what you do, right? Then you can get the energy when you're in flow. If you're, you know what I mean? If you're doing something that you're aligned with, it just feels right. The rhythm
yeah,
that you talked about, Stacy, it you can summon that rhythm.
I agree. I think the value there, not to reuse the word, um, but is that you get to reconnect with that experience of when you're aligned with your values, right? How you feel, what level of energy you have. So even in that moment when you are feeling depleted, reconnecting with a place of power, right? Reconnecting with a place that reminds you that, yes, I have felt like a leader on top of my game. I have felt like a leader with great energy. I remember that, right? Being in alignment with my values. The reality is we every day is not a great day, right? Every moment is not a great moment, but we do have agency to reconnect with those moments of power, those moments of feeling where we want to get back to, experiencing what we want to experience, to at least fuel us to get to bed at 10 o'clock and start again the next day without
Yep.
shame or judgment.
Yep. I'm going to talk about that real fast. I hollering at my boy David. Oh, my man David. Welcome.
Hello, David. Welcome to Midlife
Stace,
Revolution.
one of the posts I did today was called the Sunrise Energy Hack, and it had the following things: when it wake up during the right sleep stage, get light exposure within 5 minutes, right? Which doesn't mean you have to run outside in the sun, but even if you open a window and get
Mm-hmm.
light, or take off those blinds that we have that shut out light. Move your body within 60 seconds of getting up. Rehydrate your brain because you sweat and your exhalation causes you to lose water. So
Mm-hmm.
rehydrate using, this is a thing, lemon salt water
Oh,
within the first few minutes of getting up. And the last one is take 3 deep breaths before you pick up that phone, right? And this promises to wake you and get you up without caffeine, right, Miss Stacy? No caffeine that early in the morning.
I plead the fifth on the grounds I may incriminate myself. But I love that, Wayne, and please hold us both accountable to putting that in the show notes so that as folks listen to this episode or hit the replay, that they can really be reminded of that. And sometimes seeing it in print makes it easier. I think it's really important for us to remember that we are not judging ourselves or shaming ourselves, as Coach Wayne said in the beginning, when we find ourselves lacking the energy or being just exhausted. It is not a personal failure. We're really here to encourage you, to remind you that it is possible to move through those moments and um, notice those moments and not necessarily hold yourself to immediate action to fix it. Sometimes it is in the noticing that the real work begins.
Yeah, it was Newton, I think, who said that energy can neither be destroyed nor created, right? It's just there, moving through, transferred. And so figure out how best you can utilize that energy and optimize by and maximize, all you do. Is that the same thing, Stacy? Optimize and maximize? I think so.
Optimize and maximize. Yeah, yeah. I would say yes. For the purposes of this episode, I would say yes. We'll also make sure that we connect you with, I think it was episode 65, where we talked about energy, but we talked about um, energy compared to time and kind of the most valuable resource. And we're reminding you again that while time is an extremely valuable resource, your time in alignment with your energy as a resource is the powerful couple. So having, good use of your time and feeling like you are optimizing, to Wayne's point, your energy allows you to really move forward from a place of power, and finding those things that are draining your energy is the beginning.
Yeah. I got a little note that we were having some difficulty streaming to Facebook. So if folks listening
Hmm.
to Facebook are having a bit of difficulty with us, we apologize. That's a little technical stuff happening over here. And but you can follow us on the replay. Stace, how can
Sure.
the good folks catch some of that wisdom of yours?
Well, I am certainly accessible through all of the social places. Most importantly, on my website, thestacymlewis.com. I would love to hear from you. Click us on LinkedIn, send a chat in the DMs. We just want to know if what we are sharing with you is helpful, blessing you, helping you move forward into your midlife richness. Wayne?
Yep, folks can holler at your boy, VIPtransformativeliving.com. That's my website, and all of my social media handles are there. I'm happy to lend out a wonderful tool, as folks been hearing, which is my self-assessment. It's going to square you up so you know just where you stand in terms of your goals and aspirations.
I love it. Y'all check out the assessment. I'm still hearing good things about it. It is indeed our greatest privilege that you would take the time to spend with us, listen, look, lean in, comment. Thank y'all so much for being an important part of the Midlife Revolution Unleashed.
So, Stacy, you're going to
Sir,
be I'll be seeing them at the top. And what about you? What are you going to be doing, Stacy?
you know I'm cheering y'all on.
Until next time, y'all walk good.
Thanks for tuning in to Midlife Revolution Unleashed. We're grateful you're part of this journey.
If you love this episode, share it, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss another episode.
I'm Coach Stacy, and I'm cheering you on.
And I'm Coach Wayne, and I'll see you at the top.